Hey everyone, welcome to Chasing the Joneses. Today I have something I think pretty cool, pretty exciting to announce. The Home Buyer's Blueprint online course. Buy your next home for cheaper and save money on your mortgage. I've created this course for anyone looking to buy their first home or their second home. And today I want to share with you one of the lessons that is in this roughly 12-part video course, which helps people how to get the most out of the bank, reduce the interest cost using clever loan structuring ideas, and how to ensure that you're not being taken advantage of during the auction process. If you want to check that out, there is 20% off. It is September, and my discount code says SEPT. So if you want to head on over to the show notes, click on the link to sign up for the Home Buyer's Blueprint now, put in promo code SEPT, and then you can get a whopping discount off this course. So before we get started, I just want to explain that this is just one of the lessons in this course. We're talking today about buying a property at an auction and some of the rules that you may wish to abide by in order to show up on the auction floor completely prepared. Obviously, this is only part of the overall story. There's so much that you should be thinking about if you are looking to buy a home, and especially if you're looking to buy a property at an auction. Keep in contact with your mortgage advisor during this process. All right, let's get started. Hey, and welcome to Chasing the Joneses. While the world is changing, some things never change. You still need to work hard and take a few risks every now and then to achieve anything decent. But what if wealth in the future looks different? With so much uncertainty, how can we have the wealthy life today and tomorrow? In this series, I'll share views and strategies that everyday people use to build wealth. And the good news is, it doesn't come from a book. It comes from real life. Once your money thing is sorted out, on the way to chasing what you think success is, you might just learn how to surge ahead. So if you're ready, let's go. The Greater Than Auction Guide, How to Be Confident at an Auction. Real estate agents are the masters of the PSYOP. It's a skill that they've honed over thousands of open homes. The agent is the property market's maestro. In this lesson, I need to paint the picture of what the auction marketing program looks like from both the vendor and the purchaser's perspective. Visualize the greater than symbol. It's the one where the top of the V is knocked over to the left and is lying on its side. Looking up at the top there, the first part of that V shape is where the seller of the property, the vendor, sits. On the bottom, hoping to snag a bargain. Well, that's you in most cases, especially when you're just starting out. But don't worry, thankfully there are exceptions to that generalization I just made. Now, the vendor starts with high hopes, often buoyed by the initial appraisal on what the property's worth. On the flip side, the buyer, that's you, starts with cautious optimism, usually hoping the property will go for a bargain. The agent's role is to direct your realization of the correct price to intersect with the decreasing expectations of the vendor. The name of the game here is to not give up any ground during the process. But the art of the deal needs to factor in a little bit of give and take. To ensure that you have at least a fighting chance to come out on top, let's consider three things. Number one, you can trust the real estate agent, but just don't ask what the property is worth. On the other side of the property, through the agent, lies the current owners of the property. Real estate agents give vendors the price expectation they need to hear to start the conversation going. Without that, maybe that property wouldn't even be on the market. After there's been some rapport, though, there's a little bit more room for some truth. From listing presentation to the first week of open homes, the agents are trying to bring expectations into alignment with the market, which is often lower than what the vendor wants. Now, it's not nice to call this process kneecapping, but it's a somewhat questionable strategy at the very least. A good agent sees this, though, as managing price expectations. Now, on your side, What you hear quoted as a price from a real estate agent is going to be a different number altogether, if you even hear a number at all. Maybe it's the far too low council valuation price, or what an inferior property nearby recently sold for. Seldom is it the price that they've indicated to the vendor. In fact, if you dare ask what an auction property will sell for, you'll simply get the question launched back at you. What do you think it's worth? A real estate agent going through an auction campaign always takes care not to call the expected price too low or too high. Too low, and they'll have a vendor who thinks that they're aiming for a quick and easy sale. Too high, and they risk scaring you away. So without putting too fine a point on it, you can trust what a real estate agent says, so long as you stick to the questions that they can answer and that you can ask confidently. At the start of the course, we discussed the Home Buyer Blueprint document. On the tab that says Market Research, be sure to regularly record what properties have sold for right next to what you guessed they would sell for. When you attend an open home and you have your first conversation with the agent, my best advice is this: be friendly, allow them to help you if you can, be upfront with them, and trust their answers to generally available information. Don't ask them what an auction property will sell for, but maybe, if anything, search for agreement with your best guess as to what it might sell for. If you listen closely here, they're going to answer in one of two ways if you guess the price. I think you'll have competition at that level, or you should come along to the auction at that level. So that's your first clue that you might have a chance in actually owning this property. And it's at this stage that you might want to consider other types of due diligence, like getting in touch with the mortgage advisor and your solicitor at your first opportunity. Number 2, the second best way to come out on top, or not in this case, is the pre-auction offer. Now let's say you've found the dream pad on TradeMe and you've heard about this idea of making a pre-auction offer. What is it, you ask? Well, this is when you submit an unconditional offer ahead of the actual auction date. The hope would be that the vendor may accept it right away for fear of missing out. By the way, some vendors actually hate going through the auction process too. So if you offer them a lifeline in the form of a pre-auction offer, some will actually take it. In many cases, though, you'll find the auction still goes ahead. It's just that they're starting the bidding right at your offer. In other words, you've made your best move, and now everyone else in the room gets to offer a few $1,000s more just to pip you at the post. While the pre-auction offer may be a way to psych out the competition and strike an opportunistic blow to the market, just make sure you're not being used to condition the vendor's price expectations downwards. Don't forget, at the start of an auction program, the vendor's still likely at their highest point in that greater than symbol. The best way an agent can get them adjusted is to deliver an offer below what they'd accept. Remember, the vendor's price is always greater than the price that you would like to pay. Do you really want to help the vendor meet the market, or do you want to be there when they arrive at the market? The dynamics around how pre-auction offers work will vary on a case-by-case basis and may not always work in the way that I've described here, but as a general rule, the better move is leaving your finger resting against the market's pulse, obsessing about where prices are at for the types of properties that you want to buy. You should hope that you can get a bargain, but don't make that the objective. It's much more satisfying being the homeowner at the fall of the hammer than trying to prove the market wrong. Number 3, the third way to ensure you get the edge on the auction is this: know thy 3 numbers and let them anchor you. Before you even think about raising your hand in the auction room, write down 3 numbers on a bit of paper. If there's 2 of you, make sure that you both agree what those numbers are. If you're going to the auction apart, you should each have a copy of these 3 numbers. This is your guide and your set of rules that you agree to abide by. Number 1, the market price. What is the property objectively worth? This isn't the number that you'd like to get it for. This is the number that someone fighting for it on the auction floor would likely pay. Write down this number. Number 2, the price that you'd like to pay. What's the price that you'd pay that you'd be proud of if your friends and family asked? Write it down. Number 3, the maximum that you can imagine paying. This is your absolute limit. Based on the numbers that you've already worked out according to affordability, you can do it, but just write this number down. The price the market would pay, the price that you'd like to pay, and the price that you could be forced to pay. Write it down, stick to the script, and you'll be at peace no matter what happens on the big day. So to wrap this up, the auction floor is where it's all at. If you've done the homework, and if you're hearing this right now, chances are you have, stick to your numbers, trust but verify, and who knows, you might just hit it on the first go and walk away with the keys to your new home. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. If you'd like to share any questions or comments in the section below, please do so. Catch you on the next lesson.